When was the last time you truly felt excited about your work? If you can't remember, you're not alone. And it's not because you need a new job. This psychological phenomenon affects 82% of high achievers. Today, I'll show you 3 hidden mental barriers keeping you trapped and how to break through them. Have you ever looked at your life and wondered why all these things you worked so hard for don't actually make you happy? I want to tell you about Mark. He's got this corner office on the 37th floor of this glass building downtown. He's making well into 6 figures, has this impressive title on his business card, Senior Vice President of something important. From the outside, Mark's living the dream. But behind the gleaming facade of success lies a gilded prison. Mark hasn't had a good night's sleep in months. His mind races with work problems at 3 a.m. His wife and kids barely see him, and when they do, he's checking emails or thinking about the next deadline. The anxiety is constant, like background noise that he can't turn off. That corner office has become a place he dreads walking into each morning. This is what's called golden handcuffs. Financial rewards and benefits that trap you in a job that you hate. The salary, the health insurance, stock options, and the retirement plan, they create powerful reasons not to leave, even when the work makes you miserable. It's a beautiful golden cage that looks amazing to everyone else, but feels like a prison to the person inside. Research shows that about 67% of professionals feel stuck despite their outward success. 2/3 of people who seem to have it all are secretly wondering if this is really all there is. This isn't some personal failure. It's practically an epidemic. We trade authentic happiness for security and status without realizing the cost. We sacrifice freedom, mental health, relationships, time, all for the illusion that the next promotion or raise will finally make it worthwhile, but it never does. I asked Mark, if you could do anything with your life, what would you do? He just sat there blinking. After 15 years climbing the corporate ladder, he'd completely lost touch with what he actually wanted. The U.S. public school system conditions us to follow schedules, be compliant, and value obedience over creativity. We graduate believing jobs guarantee security. Dangerous thinking when companies replace anyone if it benefits their bottom line. These invisible mental chains are harder to break than financial ones. So many successful people feel miserable despite having everything, because they've built a prison of external success disconnected from their internal values. Think about the last time someone asked you what you do for a living. What was your instant response? I bet you answered with your job title, not your passions or your values or who you really are. And picture that moment at a party. I'm a lawyer replaces I help solve problems, revealing the first mental prison keeping you trapped. Identity fusion. This identity trap develops gradually, like a river slowly changing course until it can't remember its original path. Your brain merges who you are with what you do until they become inseparable. Your professional role transforms into the primary lens through which you view yourself and how others see you. When you consider changing careers or pivoting in your current field, your brain interprets it as a threat to survival. The neural pathways connecting who I am with what I do become so established that considering a different direction activates the same brain response as physical danger. Consider the executive who passes on a dream opportunity because that's not what someone in my position does. They've lost sight of personal desires. beneath professional identity. This fusion becomes powerful because your brain physically reinforces it. Every introduction by job title and every moment of professional pride strengthens these natural neural connections. Years of conditioning, beginning with childhood achievements and parental expectations about respectable careers, creates pathways so dominant that imagining yourself differently feels impossible. This explains why workplace criticism hits so hard. When your boss questions your work, it feels as if you're being rejected personally. Your self-worth becomes entangled with performance reviews and professional achievements. There is hope. You can separate your identity from your profession without abandoning everything you've built. Start by recognizing when you're defining yourself purely through professional achievements. Ask yourself, if I couldn't do my current job anymore, who would I be? When you realize you've been pursuing someone else's definition of success, it may trigger what feels like an identity crisis. This uncomfortable moment actually creates the first crack in your mental prison walls, making space for authentic growth based on what truly matters to you. While breaking free from identity fusion creates the first crack in your mental prison, there's an even more powerful force keeping you stuck: your brain's fear system. That anxious feeling that you get in your chest when you consider making a career change. And that's not your wisdom talking. That's your survival instinct getting triggered in a situation where it doesn't belong. Your brain's threat detection system works like a smoke detector that never shuts off. You can't distinguish between physical dangers and psychological ones. When you think about quitting your job or taking a career risk, your brain processes it just like a physical threat. Your body prepares to fight or run away, creating that knot in your stomach and racing heartbeat when you consider sending out your resume or asking for a promotion. This response makes perfect sense facing predators in the wild, but in today's work environment, it creates a constant state of low-grade anxiety most of us accept as normal. We've normalized it as that's just how work feels. What's really sneaky about this fear system is how it distinguishes itself. It doesn't announce, "I'm terrified of failure." Instead, it puts on a suit and tie and pretends to be your responsible adult voice. It says things like, "Be realistic," and "Think about your mortgage," and "Now is not the right time." It sounds so reasonable that you mistake it for wisdom. That fear system makes you focus on potential losses rather than gains. This is loss aversion. Imagine turning down a job with higher pay and better advancement because it means leaving your current role's predictable routine and familiar colleagues. Your brain calculates the certain loss as more significant than the potential gain. This fear creates specific thinking patterns, imagining the absolute worst outcome, overestimating risks, and confirmation bias. These patterns prevent psychological experimentation, the mental freedom to try new approaches without paralysis. What's keeping you stuck isn't laziness or lack of skill, it's sophisticated fear responses, disguised as responsibility and common sense. Your prison guard isn't your boss or mortgage, it's your own fear system, running an outdated program. That outdated fear program in your brain has a weakness though. It can actually be rewired with the right tools. I'm talking about specific mental techniques that work like software updates for your mind. The professionals I've seen break free from their golden cages installed a completely new mental operating system. Changing deeply rooted thought patterns is challenging, but your brain is constantly rewiring itself. The question is whether you're directing that process or letting it happen by default. With these three specific tools, you can take control of your mental programming, just like you'd upgrade outdated software. The first tool is called belief mapping. This is where you get really honest about where your definition of success came from. Did you inherit it from your parents, your college, the companies you've worked for? Most of us are running on borrowed beliefs about what makes a successful life. I spoke with someone who discovered her definition of success was entirely shaped by her father's expectations. Belief mapping helped her identify those inherited ideas, to question them, and to create her own definition that actually fit who she was. The second tool is identity flexibility techniques. And these are practical exercises that help you separate your core self from your job title. The alternative timeline exercise. It has you visualize different versions of yourself that could exist if you've made different choices. The third tool is the psychological experimentation approach. And this is where you test new identities in small, low-risk ways. Instead of quitting your job to become a photographer, you take a weekend photography workshop. If you have a skill, you can use this approach to start a small weekend consulting practice, which could eventually become a full-time passion. These tools create a new mental operating system that values authentic expression over external validation. Here's a simple first step. Write down 3 beliefs you hold about success and ask yourself, where did this come from? Is it actually true for me? This small exercise begins the reprogramming process by making unconscious beliefs conscious, the first step towards change. We've explored mental barriers and tools that can transform your life. The real freedom comes when you liberate your mind from these invisible prisons that you've built around your potential. Rather than rushing to quit your job tomorrow, start questioning those beliefs that make you think that you need to stay. Challenge them. Test their validity through small experiments. Your worth exists beyond your productivity or your title. It resides in who you are when nobody's watching and nothing's being produced. Imagine your life unburdened by these mental chains. What becomes possible when you stop limiting yourself? The truth, your inherent value, is what ultimately sets you free.